Hello, everyone. It is Lisa here. Some of you know me, and some of you are new to my work. And I'm really excited to be here because I am going to let you know that I'm going to be doing some more video content. I am Lisa de Jong. I work as a women's health coach and I specialize in the menstrual cycle, chronic pain, and trauma. I work with clients one to one, and then I also have founded a professional training academy called the Menstrual Coach Academy for professionals who want to learn more about integrating menstrual cycle work into their practice. And yeah, I'm currently on day 24 of my own cycle. It is June. I'm here in Ireland. It's quite a warm day today for Irish standards. And I have a little bit of brain fog, a little bit of nervousness, but I'm excited to be here. And so these videos are going to be in my newsletter, and I'm going to put them up on YouTube as well and on my website. And what we're going to do in these videos is just cover some topics that are important when it comes to the menstrual cycle, hormonal health, recovery, living an aligned life, and feeling connected to ourselves. And for some people, you might be on a journey of healing from chronic pain or challenges like PMDD, emotional struggles to do with hormones in the menstrual cycle. So my intention for these videos is just to chat through some topics, offer some information that will be helpful for you. And I plan to keep them kind of short and sweet. And yeah, I look forward to being in connection with you about that. So today we are going to talk about the topic of having a non-diet approach to hormonal health. And the reason I picked this topic is because it's such a big topic in the wellness and health industry, is this, the whole concept of nutrition and diet for our hormones and for our well-being. And I'll speak to it from both a personal perspective and then a professional perspective and some things that I see in my client work. So a few years ago several years ago now, when I was first getting started with this work, and I was at a hormonal health and well-being convention in Dublin here in Ireland, and I had a little stand there and I was meeting people and talking to them about what I do. And one lady asked me, well, how do you help if you're a menstrual cycle coach? Like, what do you do to women? Or, do you prescribe something? Do you give a diet, or do you offer Reiki or energy work, or is it some sort of body work? Or what is it that you do? And I had to explain to her that I don't do any of those things in my work, but rather I take clients through a coaching process. And and that's very different to what is out there, because mostly what is out there is very much diet focused, and this model of something being done to you. So you might go to acupuncture and get needles, or you might go for a womb or abdominal massage, or someone might teach that to show you how to do it, or you might take homeopathy or herbs, or do functional medicine through a diet. And all of those things are really helpful. But one of the issues is that it's, like I said, it's from this model of something being done to you, or you having to change something in some way. And from a personal point of view, I've been down that road many times, and coming from my own experience of years and years of chronic pain and fear of pain, and looking for the right practitioner and looking for the right diet, and figuring out which food was the problem and figuring out which foods I wasn't eating, and that was the issue, etc., etc., etc. I got to a place where I realized there had to be another way. So the way that I work with people is taking them through a process which is very much rooted in the mind-body connection. And so we're just going to talk a little bit about that. And this is not me dismissing diets or dismissing all those examples that I gave. It's just explaining that there can be another way, and that our thinking needs to be slightly different when it comes to, healing ourselves, really. So some of the issues with the diet only approach to hormonal health that I've seen in myself and that I see in my client work. Number one is that giving someone a diet for their hormones or anything to do with their health can be very triggering. Okay, so for people who have a history of eating disorders or any kind of history with a challenging relationship with food or diet, for any reason, for chronic pain, for weight, or anything really, or health, that can be very, very triggering. And that trigger can then cause the stress hormones to be released in the body. So it defeats the purpose of the diet in the first place. So that's reason number one why having a diet only approach isn't always helpful. Number two is diets can be very strict. I've seen this too, and I'm sure you have, in the hormone health space and in the well-being spaces, that they can be very restrictive and strict. And again, that can be quite stressful to have that strict energy with ourselves. And then number three is that it can, as a result of that, if it is very restrictive or difficult, and then we don't get the results that we are hoping to get from the diet or the intervention, and we can go into something called a self-blame cycle, where we blame ourselves for not doing the diet properly or not taking the protocol correctly, etc., or not following the plan. And then when we get pain, or if we get pain, then that can turn into self-blame again, which is also part of the problem. Another issue, number four, I have on the list here, is cost. Diets or a protocol or supplements or whatever the thing is can be very expensive in terms of money and time and energy. Number five I have is it can be socially isolating if you're going out with friends and family and you have to stick to a very strict diet. That can be very challenging. Number six is it can be very hard work. Planning, implementing, sticking to the diet can be a lot of work. You can get judgments from others is number seven, and that can be difficult to manage. Everyone has opinions, good and bad, all sorts of different thoughts and opinions. And when you're on a plan or a diet and your way of living changes, then you can get all sorts of different judgments and opinions on that. Number eight is fear, worry, and stress. So with all of the above in mind that I just listed, that ultimately creates an environment where we go into fear, worry, and stress. And that is at the root of a lot of chronic pain problems. Okay. So that's a really important thing to think about. And then number nine is you miss out on the gold. So as someone who has worked with a lot of people and taken myself through the processes that I teach, I can hand on heart say that when we only focus on a diet approach, we are missing so many pieces of the puzzle, and it can be very limiting and block us from getting to where we want to go. Okay, so that's important to think about. To balance it out, I'm also going to talk about the benefits of a diet and considering our diet for hormonal health, because the issues that I listed doesn't mean I think it's a bad thing. It's just they're things to think about. And I want to just balance them out with some of the benefits why we might go on a diet, because obviously, considering our nutrition is really important for our health. Okay, I'm not saying that it isn't. It's very, very important, but we have to have the right attitude and relationship. So the first benefit is control. One of the reasons why we might undertake or go through a process where we're taking on a new diet or some sort of protocol is that it can give us the feeling of control and agency, which can be good, because when we have a history of chronic pain or illness or suffering, we can feel very disempowered. And, you might not have received, a lot of us didn't receive the help we needed in the medical system. And so finding our agency through something we can do and action items we can take and a plan we can implement can be really good for feeling in control and empowered again. Number two is accountability. It can also give us accountability and make us feel like, we're taking responsibility, we're stepping up, we're doing something about it. And then the third benefit is there are health benefits. So the health benefits of, looking at our nutrition and considering our health and making that one piece of the puzzle is a very good thing to do when it comes to hormonal health. So what I want to offer you is a diet light approach as one piece of the puzzle. So I'm going to give you 3 pillars to think about when it comes to, your relationship with your recovery journey and your hormonal health. So pillar 1 is our relationship with food. So that's the first one that I support clients with, is, renegotiating that relationship with food. And it doesn't have to be really bad, or it doesn't have to be even really good. You can have a neutral relationship with food, but ultimately you get to decide how you want to be in relationship with food. And it is a very good thing to reflect on this, because a lot of our relationship with food is informed by our upbringing, messages from society, our education or lack of education, etc., our access to resources, our social circles, all of those things. It's a huge part of our life. we need food. So to reflect on our relationship with food is very important. And I think particularly for women and people who are navigating the holistic wellness space, there's a lot of messaging in that space. And I think it is important to start to discern that and take what we like and leave the rest. Then practically speaking, when I'm working with people, the 2 areas then that I focus on for their hormonal health, which I think are the only areas that we really need, because I like to keep things really simple, is balancing blood sugar levels. That's really important when it comes to our hormonal health, is finding ways to balance our blood sugar levels so that we're not getting the hangry feeling, so that our energy isn't going up and down like this. When we find ways to balance our blood sugar levels, we're more likely to create the conditions inside of us to have balanced hormones as well. And balancing our blood sugar levels is actually very easy. I know you can buy books on it and you can go on really complicated courses, but it's actually very, very simple. There's a couple of really easy hacks that you can do, and I can go into these in more detail another time, but just very simple, easy steps you can take to balance your blood sugar levels. And it doesn't have to be overhauling your whole diet or a radical change. And then the second one is elimination. So elimination really just means supporting your gut health, so your digestion. And our digestion is linked to our physiology and our emotional well-being and the nervous system, which is kind of a conversation for another day. But in terms of diet, simply put, plenty of fiber, plenty of water and movement. And that's really all. So it's not very, very complicated. And again, fiber and elimination, you can read loads of books, you can go on whole courses about this. I've read the books, I've considered taking the courses, and you don't need to become a specialist in this area in order to implement this in your life. So that is it with diet. I've listed here as well the other pieces of the puzzle that I think are really important when it comes to our menstrual cycle health that are not to do with diet. So those are menstrual cycle awareness, learning to track our cycle, understanding our hormones, learning to live a little bit more in alignment with our natural rhythms is a big piece of the puzzle. Regulating our nervous system is number 2. So finding ways to, soothe the fight-flight response and bring in more rest and digest energy into the body. The rest and digest of the nervous system is the body's natural place of self-healing. So the more time we spend there in our life, the more our body can self-heal and self-regulate and find more ease. And when we spend more time there, we are less likely to have chronic pain because of our biochemistry. And again, that's a whole journey to go through that. And a lot of you know my work in that space. And then number 3 is processing emotions and trauma. It's all linked to the nervous system. So when we find ways to process our emotions and, do some healing work around trauma as well, that also frees up the nervous system. Healthy relationships is number 4. So again, linked to the nervous system. A lot of our stress in our lives comes from challenging, stressful, difficult, just difficult relationships, whether that be at work, at home, with a family, friends, our relationship with ourselves even. So working on our relationships is really important. And that's also something that I help my clients through. Number 5 is our unconscious beliefs. So another huge missing piece of the puzzle is to consider what kind of beliefs are in our unconscious. I think it was Carl Jung that said, when we bring our beliefs and emotions from our unconscious to our consciousness, we bring them to the light. That will help us in our healing journey. So that's another piece of the puzzle. Number 6 is fear and worry. And fear and worry are, again, very normal if you have a history of chronic pain, PMDD, endometriosis, any kind of distress in the physical self, in the body, hormonal challenges. Very normal to have fear and worry, because it's our brain's way of trying to protect ourselves and keep us safe in the world and not experience challenges and pain. So, but the problem is that when we are in the biochemistry of fear and worry a lot, it creates this environment of more pain and suffering. So it's a bit of a self-fulfilling thing. So when I work with clients, I also help them through rewiring a little bit their nervous system and their brain to unlearn fear and worry. Number 7 is cultivating serenity and joy. And starting to have more access to serenity and joy in our body, in our psyche, in our relationships. And lastly, I have written down is relationship with self, really important. A lot of us are walking around with a really strong inner critic, with a lot of shame or guilt or fear, and just confused. Or maybe you don't know that you are, and that because that's your norm, and you haven't really had a lot of access to peace and serenity in your life, because you've just been raised in an environment where that's the norm, to be in this chronic stress all the time. So that's my little chat about a non-diet approach to hormonal health. I'm really curious to hear what you think, what has been helpful. So do leave a comment or hit reply, and I will see you soon.